Okay, let's do this. This is your Chapter 2 test review. Keep in mind that this video is going to be, this video's assignment will be a little different from, the look will be a little different from what you have, but just go ahead and pay attention to the problem itself and the number. It will be fine. I'll skip over the ones that are not on your review. All right, so um, let's start with number 1. Use the 2 points to find the following. Right, so we need to find the slope of the slope, which is actually the growth rate. So we know that the slope is known as m, which is the change in y divided by change in x, and the change in y occurs with the subtraction of the y's, because the x's are the first number, that's your first x, and that's your second x. Some people call it x1 and x2, and this is your first y, and that's your second y. Some people call it y1 and y2. Right? So when we do the subtraction of the y's, you can do it from any point you want. You can go from the back to the front or the front to the back. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to start with the back to the front. In this case, we're going to go 13 minus 1, and you can see why it's easier to do that way. So 13 minus 1, right? And then we're going to go ahead and divide that, because that's the division right here, by the change in x. And the change in x is basically, you look at your x values, the 4 and the 2. And if we started with the back to the front, we're going to have to do the back to the front. So we're going to have to go do 4 take away 2. Okay, figure it out. 13 minus 1, use a calculator if you have to. That makes 12. 4 take away 2, use a calculator if you have to. Okay, and then you can leave it like that, but that's actually better if you work it out and to go 12 divided by 2, which is 6. So your slope is going to be 6. Okay, y-intercept. To do the y-intercept, you're going to have to put your slope into the slope-intercept form. So the y-intercept can be found by using the equation y equals mx plus b. And guess what? We've already found the m. M is 6. So we're going to put 6 in place of the m. Okay. And you're trying to find b, so obviously you wouldn't have a value for b because you're going to find it. But you are going to have to utilize one of the points, either the 2, 1, or 4, 13. So decide on which point will be easier. I'm going to pick the 2, 1. Remember, 2 is my x, and 1 is my y. So 2, 1 is xy. So x is my 2. Instead of x, I'm going to write 2. And 1 is my y, so I'm going to put 1 for the y. So I'm going to rewrite this again, but work out the 6 times 2. 1 equals 12 plus b. And then now you simply just solve this. So you're going to subtract 12. And we get the answer of b equals, and figure out what 1 minus 12 is. Use a calculator if you have to. That's going to get you negative 11. So b is equal to negative 11, and that is the y-intercept. Now the equation is going to be found by just using y equals mx plus b. Okay, and look, we've just found our b, which is negative 11. So instead of b, we're going to put negative 11. And instead of m, we're going to put the 6. That's it. That's your answer. That's your equation. Y equals 6x minus 11. All right. Okay. Next one. How much money does Marina save per week? You're going to look at this graph and you're going to try to see if you can figure out. Take a moment to analyze it. So after analyzing it, okay, if you're looking for per week, that's going to be for each week. So each week looks like Miranda goes from $30 to $35. So how much money does Miranda save per week? Okay. From 1 week right there, she goes from amount of money from 35 to 40, and then another week goes by, she goes from 40 to 45. Right, so that's after analyzing, you can see that Miranda saves $5 per week. Is that right? Amount of money. So how much money does Miranda save per week? So she saves $5 extra every week. Yeah. So every week she goes. So every week, right? So you can kind of look at it like this. Every week that goes by, Miranda saves $5. Right? Another week that goes by, Miranda saves another $5. And another week that goes by, from 2 to 3 weeks, Miranda saves $5 more. Okay. So how much money does Miranda save per week? She saves $5. Okay. How much money did Miranda save in 6 weeks? Right. Well, if you want to utilize this table, this graph here, right? She saves another $5. So this is the week 3 right here. This is week 3. So she's another. She saves $5 in week 3. Week Another week goes by. Another $5. Week goes by. Another $5. Another week goes by. Okay, so how much did she save? Well, she saved, and that's finally at 6 weeks. So how much did she save? She saved 5 plus 5 is 10. Plus another 5 is 15. Plus another 5, 20. Plus another 5, 25. Plus another 5. Oh, sorry. Let's see. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then she saved another 5 right there. That's 30. Okay. So in 6 weeks, she saves $30. How long did it take to save somebody? Well, you can look at this picture here, right, of the graph again. So $70. 70 is right here. So how long did it take? So $70 will take her 8 weeks. Right? Okay. So I'm actually, now that I'm talking about that, I'm thinking that we're on part B, we're just looking at 6 weeks. Okay. She saves $5 additional every week, but I didn't think talk about she started off with $30 already. Right. So if we're just looking at 6 weeks, which is right here, okay, she actually saves $60. Because she started off with 30 already. So yeah, she saves $30 in those 6 weeks, but she started with $30. So if you look at the green, which I just did, okay, it actually shows 60 because she started with 30. So you can also say that she saves 30 additional dollars in that 6 weeks, but she started with 30. So how much did she save? She saved $60 actually. That's actually the right answer. Okay. Um, you guys don't have number 3, so go ahead and skip that. Okay, I kind of updated my file, and so on this video, I didn't update my file. So number 4, you can go ahead and skip that. Number 5, go ahead and skip that. All right, well, you don't have to skip it. You don't have it. Okay. Number 6. Right. So looking at the figure, okay, kind of like something you guys did on your scavenger hunt today. Right? How many square tiles are in figure 10? So if we keep going from figure 1 to figure 2, figure 3, figure 4, if I kept doing this all the way to figure 10, okay, how many squares are going to be in there? You can kind of take a minute to analyze it, but it looks like we're adding 2 every single time. So from figure 1 to figure 2, you're adding 2 blocks. That's 2 squared. Figure 2 to figure 3, you're adding 2 more. Figure 3 to figure 4, you're adding 2. So you can keep adding, doing this until you get to figure 10, or you can write an equation. And that's what the second line, use n to stand for the figure number and y to stand for the number of tiles. Right, so we know that we're adding 2 each time. And write the rule that shows the number of tiles is related to the figure number. So we do know that we're adding 2 each time, so that is the pattern. So we're going to write this as y equals, because they're asking us to use the figure number, and y stands for the number of tiles. So y is equal to, right? We're adding 2, and then they're saying to use n for the figure number. Right, so it's going to be 2n, because we're adding 2 each time for each figure number. And then we're going to have to plus how many did we start with. Okay, uh, and you guys may actually put 3 down, but that actually would be wrong, because 3 is actually figure 1. We actually need figure 0. So you actually need to do 1 more behind that. And if we're adding 2, okay, to go forward in the figure number, then we need to actually subtract 2. So that means that figure 0 would actually have only 1 block. Okay, so figure 0 actually 1 block, which means that when I'm doing my rule, it's going to be plus figure 0, which is the very beginning, which is plus 1. Right? So if I want to know how many is in figure 10, all I have to do is put in 10 right here. So figure 10 should have y equals 2 times 10 plus 1. Okay, so 2 times 10 is 20 plus 1. So figure 10 should have 21 squares. Okay. Number 7, it's going to cost $25. Initially, we ran a tent. So initially, so that's a key word, or that's the beginning. So if I'm writing an equation, I'm looking down at part B, it already says write an equation. If I'm writing an equation, it's going to start off with y equals something, but I do know initially it's going to cost $25, so it's going to be plus 25. Okay, so I got that part down. And it's going to cost $10 for each night. So then 10 is the repeated, or your rate of change, which means that it's going to be your number that comes with the x, because if you rent one night, then it's going to be $10, because it's 10 times 1. If you rent, if you rent it for 2 nights, then it's going to cost you 10 times 2, because it's 2 nights, which is $20. Okay, don't forget your plus 25, because that's how much it's going to cost you initially anyways. Oh. Right, so that's your equation, and you can utilize that to graph. Right. Don't know what happened there. So that should be y equals 10x plus 25. So graph a line representing the cost y for staying x night. So it looks like this one, somebody slipped up and did not put a graph there. So that's my equation. So if I'm going to graph, I need my x-axis, my x-axis, and I need my y-axis. And I'm going to need to go by, let's see, I'll go by 5. So here's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, right? So that's for every 5. And then these are going to be your nights. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's going to keep going, right? So in this axis, this will be your x-axis, but it's going to stand for your nights. And this is your y-axis. And it's going to stand for your costs. But for the costs, I'm going to write down that it's going to be money, right? Because that's what cost is measured in. Okay. And then your nights, okay, it's going to be for, well, that's how many different days or how many different nights. So it's going to just stay as nights, right? So I'll just put 1, 2, 3, so 4. Okay. So we're going to start at positive 25, which is right here. Your rate of change is going to be 10. So you're going to go up 10. So from 25, you go up 10 to be 35. That's going to be every one night. So your line is going to be very, very steep. Remember we talked about steepness in class? So this is your line. It's a very, very steep line. That's the equation. Y equals 10x plus 25. Write the equation in the line below. Okay, again, this is actually what we just did, except it's backwards, right? So you got to notice a couple things, like where it is across the y-axis. Okay, that's your B. That's your 1, 2, 3. And another thing you got to notice is what's your slope. To find slope, you need another point, and I can spot a couple points, like that point and that point that we're going to use, or that point, or that point, or that point. You can use any two. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one, which is going to be up 2 and over 1. So your slope is going to be up 2, which is positive 2, and over 1. So 2 divided by 1, that's just 2. So if I want to write the equation, it's going to start with y equals mx plus b, and I have everything I need, right? So it's y equals the m is going to be my 2. That's my x. Plus, and my b is going to be my 3. So I actually have everything I need. That is my answer. Okay, number 9, same thing. Write the equation for the line below. Again, find your y-intercept. Hey, it's the same y-intercept. So b equals 2, and then slope, you need another point. So it looks like, that looks like another point right there, right? Or that one. Right, don't use that one. That one's wrong. You see how that works? Okay. So this one down here if you like, or this one, and you can use any two that you like, or this one up here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and utilize, let's say these two. So this one looks like it's down 1, down 2, down 3, and over to the right once. So my slope is down 3. If it's down, I'm going to use -3, and over to the right once. The slope of -3 over 1, that's going to come up to be -3. My equation is y equals mx plus b. Your m, we just found out, is -3. Your b, we just found out, is 2. You're going to copy everything else just the way it is. That's your equation. Find the slope of the line. You're going to need 2 points. Any 2 points will be fine. Okay, so I'm going to utilize, I don't know, 4, -10. You can write it as a point if you like. 4, -10. And I don't know, 5, -14. Right? So 5, -14. And you're going to do this just like how you did that first one. And take your y's, which is 14 and -10, -14, -10, excuse me. And go ahead and subtract them any way you like it. Yeah. So your slope is the change in y. So that's what we're doing right now. Change in y is I'm going to go start with -14 and I'm going to go to the front. So change in y is -14 minus -10. Okay, notice how I wrote that. And then divided by the change in x. Okay, so change in x is going to be your 5 and 4. And again, notice how I started in the back and went to the front. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go 5 minus 4. 5 minus 4. Okay, and notice how it's always going to be minus in between. Okay, and whatever number it is, like -14, you're going to use -14. Okay, if it says the number is -10, you're going to use -10. Okay, just because you wrote down the minus in between doesn't mean that you don't write the -10. Okay, you still need to keep writing those negatives and whatnot in. Okay, and you might have learned that a double negative does make a positive, so -10 makes a +10. Use a calculator if you have to, but -14 plus 10 is -4. 5 minus 4 is going to give you 1. So your slope is going to be -4. All right. This one's pretty easy. Y-intercept. Y-intercept is when the x, or the zero term, and look, we have it right here. The zero term is 6. So y-intercept is b equals 6. So we actually have that from the table. Our equation is going to be y equals mx plus b. Yeah, I'm kind of out of space, so I'm going to go ahead and erase my m. I found out my m was -4 earlier, so it's going to be y equals -4 x plus, and then the b, let me go ahead and erase that because I'm out of space. B is actually 6. So my answer is negative y equals -4x plus 6. And we're going to go ahead and skip number 11, which you don't have. And number 12, Shirley starts with $85 in the bank. Again, that's our zero term. It says even the key word is she starts with, or she initially has, or whatnot. So our equation, and I can see later on it says write an equation, and I haven't even finished reading it, and I can see that out of the corner of my eye. So it's going to start with y equals mx plus b, and she starts with $85 in the bank. So I'm going to do my b value is going to be 85. So plus 85, and she saves $15 every 2 months. Right? So it's not. So it's going to be, the slope is going to be 15 every 2 months. Okay, so the slope is going to be 15x. Okay. So write an equation for the balance of Shirley's bank account. You have it right there. What is the slope of the line? Okay, this is we just kind of recently went through this. And take your y's. So 1 take away 7. If you don't like that, you can do 7 take away 1. I'm going to stick with 1 take away 7. So my slope, remember, it's the change in y. So change in y is 1 take away 7, which comes out to be -6. If you don't know, use a calculator. And you're going to divide that by the change in x, which is the 10 take away the -5. And notice how I'm saying that. The 10 take away the -5. There is a double negative in there somewhere. Right, 10 take away -5, double negative means it's 10 plus 5, which is going to give you 15. Okay, you can leave it like that, or you might notice that 6 and 15, they have a common divisor, or something that they can both divide by, which is 3. This will actually make life a lot easier for you if you can utilize this successfully. -6 divided by 3 is -2. 15 divided by 3 is 5. That would be better if you can go down to -2 over 5. Okay, and then oh, we're not doing number 14, so that would be it.